The Doherty family has owned and operated the hotel since it opened in the 1920s. Doherty men were and remain the business managers. However, as Jim Doherty tells it, it was the Doherty women who were the heart and soul of the business. The hotel has a colorful history. During Prohibition, it was a speakeasy, a place for backroom gambling and adult entertainment. It was also a meeting place for the Mafia and Purple Gang. Here they worked out their differences. In 1938, the hotel was the site of one of Michigan's most notorious murders. Isaiah Lebov, former Purple Gang attorney turned Purple Gang businessman, was murdered in the bar. He was shot dead by his cousin and business partner, Jack Livingston. Over the years, there have been numerous, yet vague accounts of its haunting. Some believe Isaiah Lebov may remain, along with family matriarch Helen Doherty. The evidence that was collected was startling. Perhaps the most surprising evidence was recorded in a back room where Grandma Pimble's body was placed after her death. In this area, the voice of a woman was recorded. It was soft and feeble, as if she were either very old or very sick. The words were in response to questions asked. Believed the voice Helen Doherty. Over the decades, there have been many reports of paranormal activity at this Victorian inn just north of the city of Petoskey. If you ask the desk clerk for the inn's ghost files, they'll hand over a thick folder with accounts from past guests and employees. Based on the evidence, it seems these reports may very well be true. After 5 years of this historic inn remains one of the most paranormally active locations. There seems to be 3 prominent spirits that wander the inn. The first is a lady in white, seen in the hallways and guest rooms. Could she be looking for the man in tweed? This is another ghostly apparition that was seen on the balcony. Then, there's an interactive youth, a lad of perhaps 12 or 14 years of age, who inhabits the basement. All recorded evidence and in-depth historical research has led people to believe that these wandering spirits, they remain. Located on Woodward Avenue, this exquisite restaurant was the former mansion home of David Whitney Jr. Mr. Whitney was one of the Midwest's wealthiest lumber baron at the turn of the century, and he built this magnificent 21,000 square foot home in 1894. Since the mansion's restoration in the mid-1980s, reports of unexplained activity have existed. Shadowy apparitions have been seen on the second floor, disembodied voices have been heard, and other strange phenomena have occurred. Who doesn't like the romance, mystery, and history of a lighthouse? Michigan has several that are said to be haunted. Who haunts this Upper Peninsula lighthouse? For decades, it's been said that Captain Willie Townsend, former lightkeeper, remains attached to the old structure. It is also thought 2 female spirits wander the lightkeeper's residence. One of them is Mary Pimble, the mother-in-law of a former lightkeeper. Grandma Pimble died there during one of Lake Michigan's worst blizzards, a blizzard that assailed the lighthouse. Like an invading army, the wind and snow smashed through windows and assaulted the rooms. There have been extensive accounts of activities by visitors' employees. There have been reports of apparitions, objects moving, the scent of Captain Townsend's cigar smoke, and much more. Established in 1838, Michigan's first state prison remained in operation through 1934. It was an incredibly brutal place that housed some of the state's worst criminals and was known for its prisoner neglect, abuse, and torture. Today, the old prison has become the Armory Arts Village, a residence and studio for local artisans. Apartments are very contemporary and halls covered with artwork. In spite of its modern renovations and freshly painted walls, though, rumors persist of its haunting. A few artisans have even drawn sketches of the fleeting apparitions they've seen wandering hallways. Judy Krasno is the owner and operator of Jackson's Journeys, LLC. Judy hosts daytime historic tours of the prison so a visitor can see and feel the hauntings for themselves. She is also the resident expert of the prison's history and lives on site. She swears her apartment, which was once a series of prison cells, has ghosts. Judy is not the only resident that believes that. Even though the upper floors have undergone renovation, the underground section that held solitary confinement remains structurally intact. Although cells have been removed, there is intensity in this area that cannot be denied. Perhaps the most darkly powerful location is the tunnels. As Judy tells us, these small, cramped, underground passageways once took guards to the watchtowers and their cottages on the outside of prison walls. Prisoners were also taken through the tunnels to get out to work. It is believed the tunnels may have been used for prisoner discipline. There is no doubt even the bravest ghost hunter would feel vulnerable and intimidated in these endlessly dark tunnels. The volume of recorded evidence collected to date is remarkable. There is no question many inmates at Michigan's First State Prison have never left. Mackinac Island is one of the most historic, beautiful, and unique locations in the country. The history of the island dates back thousands of years. It was home to Native American settlements long before European exploration began in the 17th century. The island saw at least 2 battles during the War of 1812, and over the centuries it has been the scene of many tragic deaths. It is no wonder that urban legends continue to build on the island's paranormal activity. Many seem to believe the beautiful Grand Hotel is the primary focus of ghostly phenomena on the island. Unfortunately, the Grand Hotel does not permit paranormal investigations. Until they do, those legends must remain just legends. Another location believed to be haunted is Fort Mackinac. It has a rich history with many tragic stories behind its stone fortress. But, like the Grand Hotel, the fort does not permit paranormal investigations. For now, the stories must remain just stories. Mission Point has gone through many changes since its beginning in 1827. The area first served as a missionary school for children of mixed Native American European blood. For a short time, it served as Mackinac College. Today, it's a luxury resort on the island's east side. Based on multiple investigations, it seems the stories of its haunting have, at least, some basis in truth. Evidence has been recorded in the theater, outside grounds, and some of its rooms. According to Todd Clements, author of Haunts of Mackinac, a common thread for the hauntings seems to be a young college student back in the 1970s who reportedly committed suicide. They refer to him as Harvey. Although the official report is suicide, Todd suspects Harvey's death may have been murder. I believe, like Todd, that more than Harvey haunts the resort. In 1812, hundreds of Americans died at the River Basin battlefield. Like so many battlefields, this has given rise to a grim and unsettling reputation for paranormal activity. In fact, River Raisin National Battlefield Park is considered to be one of the most haunted places in Michigan. River Raisin was the site of one of the biggest battles of 1812. The 850 American troops who were settled there were attacked by 500 British soldiers and 500 Native Americans. Around 300 American soldiers were killed and hundreds more were wounded. These wounded men were left defenseless and ended up being slaughtered by the Native Americans in what is now known as the River Raisin Massacre. It is estimated that in all, only 33 of the Americans escaped alive. No figures are known for the death toll on the other side. As you might expect given the gruesome history, ghostly apparitions are the norm here. Several visitors have seen spectral American soldiers in a uniform appropriate to 1812. Some visitors have captured shadowy figures in doorways when taking photographs, and there have been multiple EVPs recorded in the area which contain moans and cries of agony and the sounds of a battle taking place. Dorr E. Felt started construction of the Felt Mansion in 1925 with the vision of building a beautiful home for his family. It was originally intended to be the family's summer home, and it took 3 years to complete. It was one of the largest mansions of the time, with 25 rooms across the 17,000 square feet that the house occupied. It even had its own ballroom. However, just 6 weeks after it was completed, Dorr's wife Agnes passed away suddenly, and he was left devastated. He died about 18 months later, some say of a broken heart. In the years that followed, the Felt family fell on hard times. Gradually, the land and then the house was sold off. The mansion was converted into a prep school for Catholic boys. Then, in the 70s, It was converted first into a prison and then into a home for cloistered nuns. It might not come as much of a shock to learn that the main hauntings at Felt Mansion are said to be the spirits of previous owners Dor and Agnes Felt. They apparently wander throughout the house, and people have said that they are simply taking time to enjoy the dream home that they were unable to enjoy in life. They seem to be friendly and are happy to share their home with guests and visitors. There are also reports of less defined shadow figures seen in the third-floor ballroom. They sometimes dance, while others are said to appear as though they are sweeping the floor. There are also reports of the double French doors in Agnes's room opening and closing on their own. One of the most haunted places in Detroit is the Detroit Masonic Temple. One of the most well-known ghosts that are said to inhabit the building is George D. Mason. His apparition has been spotted by several guests and the night watchman. There are also many cold spots in the building, and doors are said to open and close on their own. In particular, the roof doors have been said to swing open just moments after being locked by the night watchman. Traverse City State Hospital was in operation for more than 100 years, so you can imagine the vast number of patients who have passed through its doors and the large volume of death that must have occurred here. As you might imagine, over the years there have been a growing number of tales about restless spirits and patients who have never checked out of the hospital. It now stands abandoned and decaying, but it is known to be one of the most haunted places in Michigan. One of the most disturbing stories linked to Traverse City State Hospital is that there is supposed to be a portal to hell located under the so-called hippie tree, which is located on the trails just behind the main building. There are also frequent reports of disembodied screams and voices echoing through the empty halls, and lights are said to turn on and off at random despite the fact that the electricity has been disconnected for several years. Some of the spirits to have actually manifested as full apparitions around the hospital include several patients, including children, and the spirit of a priest who took his own life inside the hospital. However, perhaps the most terrifying of all is the disfigured, shadowy figure who is said to creep around the tunnels and basements. Thank you for making your way through the video. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button and give me your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, until next time.